Welcome back to the Seas of the Damned. The Wycliffe has submerged, and Finn O'Connell drifts alone, marked by the creature that destroyed his ship. In the distance, a French vessel approaches, but the monster is not done hunting. This is part 2 of our human-made, no AI ocean horror story. The Étoile du Matin cut through the morning fog like a blade, her thick oak beams groaning with the steady rhythm of a ship that had survived more battles than most men aboard her. 22 cannons lined her gun decks, polished and ready, their crews drilling even at dawn. She was a warship built to endure storms, pirates, and the unpredictable moods of the Atlantic. But not a single man on board had ever imagined the ocean itself could turn against them. Captain Henri Delacroix stood at the quarter-deck rail, boots planted wide, coat snapping in the wind. He was a man carved from discipline and salt air, respected by every sailor who served under him. His crew trusted him with their lives, and he trusted them with his. They were French Navy, hardened and unshakable. Below, the men worked with practiced precision. Lines were coiled, sails trimmed, decks scrubbed. The bosun barked orders, the gunners checked their powder stores, and the surgeon sharpened his tools with the grim patience of a man who knew the sea always demanded its due.
Wind's shifting, Capitan.
First Mate Moreau called out from the helm.
Feels strange. Too warm for this latitude.
Delacroix nodded, but said nothing. He felt it too, a heaviness in the air, a pressure beneath the waves. The gulls had vanished hours ago. The water had taken on a darker hue, almost black in places. Even the wind seemed to hesitate.
Superstition.
Moreau muttered under his breath.
The men whisper about omens. Let them whisper.
Delacroix replied.
As long as they work.
But even he couldn't shake the unease crawling up his spine. A sudden tremor rippled through the hull, subtle but unmistakable. The deck shivered beneath their boots. Sailors froze mid-task. One dropped a coil of rope.
What was that?
Moreau asked. Delacroix did not answer. He stepped to the rail and stared into the water. The surface was calm, almost glassy. But something moved far below, a shadow too large to be a whale, too slow to be a school of fish. The tremor came again, stronger this time. The cannons rattled in their mouths.
Sound the deck watch.
Delacroix ordered quietly.
And double the lookout.
The bosun's whistle shrieked. Boots thundered across the planks. Muskets were checked. Powder horns were filled. The Étoile du Matin bristled like a cornered animal. Moreau swallowed hard.
Sir, what do you think it is?
Delacroix kept his eyes on the water.
Something big.
He said.
And close.
The sea answered with a low, resonant groan, a sound so deep it vibrated through the ship's bones and into the men's chests. Several sailors staggered. One fell to his knees, clutching his ears. The groan faded, leaving only silence. Delacroix exhaled slowly.
Whatever it is,
he said.
We will face it as Frenchmen.
The crew straightened at that. Fear was still in their eyes, but pride in their posture. They trusted their captain, and they trusted their ship. None of them knew that the thing beneath them was older than their nation, and older than the idea of fear itself. The fog thickened as the morning wore on, swallowing the horizon until the Étoile du Matin seemed to sail through a world made only of gray. The crew moved with a quiet efficiency, their boots thudding against the deck in a rhythm that spoke of training. But beneath that discipline, something else simmered, a tension that had begun with the tremors in the hull, and had only grown since. Captain Delacroix stood at the bow, spyglass raised, scanning the shifting veil of mist. The air felt dense. Even the wind seemed to hesitate, as if unsure if it wanted to touch the water.
Capitan!
Moreau called from the helm.
The current slowing.
Delacroix lowered the glass.
There's no reason for that. Depth here is more than 1,000 meters. Then, something's beneath us.
Moreau said quietly. Delacroix didn't respond. A shout cut through the fog.
"En homme dans le loup! Off the starboard bow!"
The deck erupted into motion. Sailors rushed to the rail, leaning out over the mist-shrouded water. Delacroix strode across the deck, pushing through the cluster of men until he reached the edge. At first, he saw nothing. Then the fog thinned just enough to reveal a shape drifting on a broken plank. A man, limp, barely clinging to life.
Lower the hooks!
Delacroix barked.
Move!
2 sailors threw the lines overboard. The man didn't react as they hauled him in, his body rolling like a dead weight. When they dragged him onto the deck, he collapsed in a heap, coughing seawater, trembling violently. His skin was pale, almost gray. His clothes were shredded, his lips were blue, and beneath his ribs, faint and flickering, a cold blue glow pulsed like a heartbeat that didn't belong to him. Delacroix knelt beside him.
Monsieur!
The man's eyes fluttered open. For a moment they were unfocused and drifting. Then they locked onto Delacroix with a sudden, desperate clarity.
"Finn.
He rasped.
My name is Finn."
The captain nodded.
You're safe now.
Finn's hand shot out, gripping Delacroix's sleeve with a surprising strength.
"No,
He whispered.
no one is safe. Not while I'm here."
The crew exchanged uneasy glances. One crossed himself, another muttered a prayer. Delacroix kept his voice steady.
What happened to your ship?
Finn swallowed hard. His voice cracked.
"It wasn't a storm. It wasn't an accident. It was hunting us. Hunting me."
A tremor rolled through the hull, stronger than before. The deck shuddered. Several sailors stumbled. Finn's eyes widened.
"It followed me."
Delacroix rose slowly.
Moreau! Bring him below. Get the surgeon. And arm the men.
Moreau hesitated.
Sir? Arm them for what?
The captain looked out over the fog-choked sea, his jaw tight.
For whatever tore this man's ship apart.
Another tremor hit, deeper and heavier, like the shifting of something enormous beneath the waves. Finn crawled in on himself, clutching his ribs as the blue glow pulsed brighter.
"It knows I'm alive.
He whispered.
And it's coming."
The fog thickened again, swallowing the world in gray. The sea had gone unnaturally still, the kind of stillness sailors whispered about in taverns, but never expected to witness. No wind touched the sails, no gulls circled overhead. The ocean stretched out in a flat, endless sheet of gray-blue glass. Delacroix stood at the helm, his hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on the horizon. He had seen storms that could swallow fleets, and pirates who fought like devils. But this quiet unsettled him more than any cannon broadside. Below deck, Finn lay on a narrow cot in the surgeon's cabin, shivering despite the blankets piled over him. The surgeon, a thin man with steady hands and a face carved by years of grim work, examined the faint blue glow beneath Finn's ribs with a mixture of fascination and dread. "'Tis not a wound," the surgeon murmured. "Not a burn, not a bruise. It is something else." Finn's voice was barely audible.
"It's a mark."
"A mark from what?" Finn stared at the ceiling, his eyes hollow.
"From the thing that killed my crew."
Above them, a sudden tremor rolled through the hull. Dust drifted from the beams. The lantern swung on its hook. The surgeon froze. "Mon Dieu!" Finn sat up, breath catching.
"It's here."
On deck, sailors rushed to the rails as the water darkened beneath them. Something was moving beneath the surface. Something vast.
"There's something below us. It's enormous."
A lookout shouted from the foremast. Delacroix didn't hesitate.
All hands to stations. Load the cannons.
The crew snapped into motion, with the precision of men who had been drilled for war. Powder Boy sprinted, Gunners primed their weapons. The bosun's whistle shrieked across the deck. But even their discipline faltered when the shadows passed directly beneath the hull. It was longer than the ship, much longer. The Étoile du Montant shuddered as if brushed by a mountain. A sailor stumbled back from the rail, face pale.
"That's no whale! That's no creature I've ever—"
The water erupted. A massive shape surged upward just enough to break the surface, only offering a glimpse. A ridge of jagged, armored flesh, a single fin like a shattered blade, and an eye the size of a cannonball, black and depthless, staring directly at the ship. The deck was silent. Then the creature sank again, disappearing into the deep with a terrifying grace. Delacroix exhaled slowly.
Steady your nerves, men. It's testing us.
Moreau swallowed hard.
Testing us for what?
A second tremor answered him, stronger, deeper, vibrating through the beams like the growl of something ancient and hungry. Finn staggered onto the deck, still wrapped in a blanket, his eyes wide with terror.
It's not testing you,
He said.
it's hunting me.
Delacroix turned sharply.
Explain.
Finn shook his head.
It marked me. It wants me back, and it will tear this ship apart to get to me.
As if summoned by his words, the sea swelled unnaturally on the port side. A massive shape rose beneath the surface, circling the men with slow, predatory intent. The Leviathan. The crew backed away from the rail, muskets trembling in their hands. Delacroix drew his sword, though he knew steel meant nothing to something that size.
Gunners,
He shouted.
stand ready.
The Leviathan's shadow tightened its circle. The ship creaked under the pressure of water shifting around it. Finn's voice cracked.
You can't fight it.
Delacroix did not look at him.
We are French Navy.
He said.
We fight anything that threatens our ship.
The Leviathan surged upwards again, close enough that the deck tilted from the force of its passing. The men braced themselves, and the Leviathan prepared to strike. A deep, bone-shaking thud slammed into the underside of the Étoile du Montant, hard enough to rattle every cannon in its mount. Several sailors were thrown off their feet. One man cursed as he slid across the deck, grabbing a rope to stop himself from going overboard.
Jesus Christ! What the hell was that?
Moreau shouted. Delacroix didn't answer. He was already moving, his boots pounding across the planks as he barked orders. The crew snapped into action, but the fear made their hands clumsy. Powder spilled, ramrod slipped, and men swore under their breath. Another, more vicious impact hit the hull. The ship lurched violently to port. Finn staggered, clutching the mast to stay upright. The blue glow beneath his ribs pulsed like a heartbeat that wasn't his.
It's right under us.
He gasped.
It's coming up.
The sea exploded. A massive ridge of armored flesh burst from the water, sending a geyser of spray across the deck. Men screamed. Muskets were dropped. One sailor fell backward, shouting,
"Holy Mother of God!"
The Leviathan didn't fully surface, but what it revealed was enough.
Fire!
Delacroix roared. The starboard cannons unleashed a deafening volley. Smoke billowed, and the deck shook. Iron shot slammed into the creature's flank. The Leviathan recoiled, letting out a low, resonant bellow that vibrated through the ship's bones.
"Reload!
The bosun screamed.
Move! Move! Move!"
The creature was repositioning. Finn's breath hitched.
It's going to ram us.
Brace!
Delacroix shouted. The Leviathan surged forward, slamming its massive body against the hull. The impact was brutal. Men were thrown like rag dolls. A section of railing splintered. A cannon broke free of its restraints and crashed across the deck.
"Get out of the way!"
A gunner yelled as he dove aside. The ship groaned, beams straining under force. Water sprayed through the new cracks in the lower deck. Moreau grabbed the wheel, fighting the ship to keep steady.
Capitan! She can't take many hits like that. She won't have to.
Delacroix growled.
We are not dying out here.
The Leviathan circled back, its shadow sweeping beneath the ship like a storm cloud underwater. Finn stumbled toward Delacroix, his eyes wide with terror.
You don't understand. It doesn't want the ship. It wants me.
Delacroix grabbed him by the collar.
Then why the hell is it trying to sink us?
Because it knows you won't give me up.
A roar rose from the water. The Leviathan surged upward again, jaw snapping inches from the hull. The creature's teeth scraped the wood, leaving deep gouges.
Fire again!
Delacroix shouted. The second volley hit point blank. The creature thrashed, black blood misting into the air. The deck shook violently as the Leviathan slammed back into the sea. For a moment, everything went still. Then the water around the ship began to churn. Moreau's face went pale.
Capitan, it's coming back.
Delacroix unsheathed his blade, though he knew it was useless against something that size.
Then we hold the line.
Finn stared at the water, trembling.
It won't stop. Not until I'm dead or back in the deep.
The Leviathan shadow rose beneath them again, larger, angrier, unstoppable, and the Étoile du Montant braced for hell. The Leviathan didn't give them time to breathe. The moment the creature vanished beneath the waves, the crew scrambled to reload the cannons. Their hands were shaking, their powder was spilling, and they were cursing under their breath.
Move like you fucking mean it!
The bosun barked, voice cracking with a fear he tried to hide. Delacroix strode down the gun deck, jaw clenched, his coat soaked with seawater.
Check your lines. Ram the shot deep. I want every cannon ready to fire on my mark.
A gunner slammed a ramrod home and muttered.
Capitan, that thing's bigger than the ship. They hit it point blank and it barely flinched.
Delacroix didn't slow.
Then we hit it again.
Another tremor rolled through the hull, like the shifting of a mountain underwater. A lantern fell and shattered, its flames licking across the planks before a sailor stomped them out. Finn clung to the rail above deck, breathing hard. The glow beneath his ribs was pulsing faster.
It's angry,
he whispered. The water beside the ship bulged upward.
Race!
Delacroix roared. The Leviathan erupted from the sea in a violent surge of black water and armored flesh. Its massive head broke the surface, jagged ridges, and a maw lined with teeth like broken spears, and a single, monstrous eye fixed on Finn with murderous intent. Men screamed, muskets fired wildly. One sailor dropped to his knees, sobbing. The creature slammed against the hull. The impact was catastrophic. The Étoile du Montant lurched sideways, its beams groaning and planks cracking. 2 sailors were thrown overboard, their cries cut short as the Leviathan's tail swept the water like a scythe.
Fire!
Delacroix bellowed. The starboard cannons unleashed hell. The broadside tore into the creature's flank. Smoke filled the air, and the deck shook. The Leviathan recoiled, bellowing a deep, resonant roar that vibrated through the men's chest. Black blood slicked the water.
Reload!
The bosun shouted.
Capitan! We can't take another hit like that!
Then the water beneath the ship began to churn violently. Finn staggered back, his eyes wide.
It's going under us. It's going to hit the keel.
Moreau's face drained of color.
If it breaks the keel, we sink.
Delacroix finished. The Leviathan struck from below. The ship jolted upward, wood splintering, men thrown into the air. A cannon broke free and crushed a gunner against the bulk side. Another man was flung across the deck, slamming into the mast with a sickening crack. The Leviathan surfaced again, jaws snapping inches from the rail. A sailor screamed as the creature's teeth tore through the railing, ripping away a chunk of the deck. Delacroix waved his sword.
Hold the line! We are not dying out here!
The Leviathan lunged again. Finn stumbled forward, shouting over the chaos.
It won't stop. It won't stop until it has me.
Delacroix clutched him by the collar.
Then we make the bastard bleed for every inch.
The next hit came without warning. One moment the sea was still. The next, the Étoile du Montant was thrown sideways, as if struck by a runaway fortress. Men screamed and barrels rolled.
Fuck! Hold on!
Moreau shouted as he clung to the wheel. The ship groaned, beams bending under the impossible strain.
Delacroix staggered but didn't fall.
Damage report!
He barked. A gunner scrambled up from below, soaked and shaking.
We are taking water, Capitan! The village is flooding fast!
Pump crews to stations.
Delacroix commanded.
Move your asses!
Finn stumbled across the deck, clutching his ribs as the blue glow beneath his skin pulsed violently.
It's not done.
He gasped.
It's coming back around.
Why the hell is it so fixated on you?
Moreau snapped. The Leviathan rose again. "They are dead," a sailor whispered. The Leviathan lunged, its jaws clamped down on the starboard rail, splintering wood like kindling. Men scattered, shouting, as the creature thrashed, tearing away a massive chunk of the deck.
Delacroix didn't hesitate.
Fire at will!
The cannons roared. Airborne iron slammed into the creature's face. Smoke filled the air, and the Leviathan recoiled, bellowing in fury, its black blood spraying across the water. Finn's eyes widened.
It's going for the keel again. It's going to break the ship in half.
Capitan,
Moreau muttered.
I know.
Delacroix snapped.
All hands, brace for impact.
The Leviathan struck from below. The ship jolted upward, nearly capsizing. Men were thrown into the air. A mast cracked. A sailor tumbled overboard, screaming as he hit the water.
Man overboard!
Someone shouted.
No!
Finn yelled.
Get him out the water! Get him out!
Capitan!
The bosun shouted.
We can't take another hit like that!
Delacroix's jaw tightened.
Then we make damn sure it doesn't get one.
He turned to the gunners.
Load the chain shot. Aim for the bastard's head.
The men scrambled, hands shaking but determined. Powder horns were filled, ramrods slammed home, and the cannons were primed. Finn staggered toward Delacroix, his voice raw.
You don't understand. It's not trying to sink the ship. It wants me. It wants me alive.
Then it can come through all of us to get to you.
The Leviathan rose again.
Fire!
Delacroix screamed.
The broadside hit point blank. The creature screamed, a sound that tore through the fog and echoed across the Dead Sea. It thrashed violently, smashing the water into towering waves. The ship rocked, nearly capsizing again. Men clung to ropes, to rails, to anything that wouldn't throw them into the creature's reach. The Leviathan dove, leaving behind a trail of black blood. Moreau wiped sweat from his brow.
Did we kill it?
Finn shook his head slowly, trembling.
No, you pissed it off.
Delacroix stared at the dark water, his body brimming with tension.
Then we prepare for the next round.
The sea around them began to churn again. The Leviathan was coming back. The Étoile du Montant was dying. The deck listed 5 degrees to port. Water poured through the lower seams in steady, merciless streams. The pumps thumped in frantic rhythm as men worked with white-knuckle desperation. Smoke from the last broadside still hung in the air, mixing with the stench of pitch, salt, and fear.
Delacroix stood amidst the chaos.
His hair plastered to his forehead with seawater. He looked like a man carved out of the storm itself.
Report.
He barked. The bosun staggered up from below deck, soaked to the bone.
We're flooding fast, Capitan. If that bastard hits us again, we're fucked.
Delacroix didn't flinch.
Then we make damn sure it doesn't get the chance.
Another tremor rolled through the hull. Finn leaned against the mast, shivering. The blue luminance beneath his ribs pulsing like a heartbeat that wasn't his.
It's not done. It's coming back around.
How the hell do you know that?
Finn's voice cracked.
Because I can feel it. It's calling to me.
A sailor spat on the deck. Fuck that. Throw him overboard. Let the monster take what it wants.
Delacroix turned onto the man with a glare sharp enough to cut a rope.
Touch him and I'll have you flogged bloody. They protect our own.
He's not one of us, the sailor snapped.
He is now.
Delacroix growled.
and we don't feed men to the sea.
The Leviathan answered with a low, resonant groan. The water near the ship began to swirl. Moreau's face went pale.
Capitan, it's coming up on the starboard side.
Delacroix's eyes narrowed.
Good. Let it.
The crew stared at him like he'd lost his mind.
Captain,
The bosun asked.
what the hell are you planning?
Delacroix pointed at the barrel stacked near the main mast. Thick, tar-coat casks of pitch and oil.
Get those bastards to the rail.
He ordered.
We are going to light the sea on fire.
A stunned silence followed. Then the bosun grinned a savage, desperate grin.
Hey, Captain, now that's a fucking plane!
The men moved fast, adrenaline overriding their fear. Barrels were rolled to the starboard rail, torches were lit, and powder trails were laid. Finn watched with wide, terrified eyes.
You can't fight it with fire.
Delacroix didn't look at him.
I can fight anything with fire.
The water bulged, and the Leviathan rose. Its massive head broke the surface, its jaws opening wide enough to swallow a longboat whole. Its eye was cold, ancient, hateful, and locked onto Finn.
Now!
Delacroix roared. The men shoved the barrels overboard. They hit the water with heavy splashes.
Light it!
Delacroix shouted. A torch was thrown, and the sea ignited. Flames roared across the surface, racing toward the Leviathan in a blazing sheet of orange and gold. The creature recoiled, bellowing a deep, furious roar. The fire clung to its armored hide, burning along the ridges and plates. The Leviathan thrashed violently, smashing the water into towering waves.
Reload the cannons!
The bosun yelled.
Hit the bastard while it's blind!
The gunners moved with renewed fury. Powder horns emptied, and ramrod slammed home. Delacroix raised his sword.
Fire!
The broadside struck the Leviathan's head point blank. The creature screamed, a sound so loud it rattled the masts and sent several men to their knees. Black blood poured across the flames, hissing as it hit the fire. The Leviathan thrashed again, then dove, vanishing beneath the burning water. Moreau wiped sweat from his brow.
Did we kill it this time?
Finn shook his head, trembling.
No, but you hurt it. Badly.
Delacroix exhaled, his chest heaving.
Then we've bought ourselves time.
The ship groaned beneath them. Water was still pouring in.
Not much time.
The bosun muttered.
We're still sinking.
Delacroix looked at the burning sea, his face burdened with responsibility.
Then we fix the ship. We patch the holes. We keep moving north.
Finn stared at the dark water, his voice barely a whisper.
It's not done with us.
Delacroix nodded grimly.
Neither are we.
The flames crackled across the waves. The fire on the water burned for hours. By the time the last flame sputtered out, the sun had dipped below the horizon, leaving the Étoile du Montant limping through a sea of blackened slicks and drifting smoke. The ship creaked with every swell, her wounded hull groaning like a dying animal. The men worked in exhausted silence, pumping water, patching holes, and hauling debris overboard. Delacroix stood at the helm, face lit by the dim lantern swinging overhead. He looked older now, not in years, but in weight. The weight of command, the weight of survival.
How bad?
He asked without turning. Moreau wiped sweat and soot from his brow.
We've slowed to half speed. The pumps are barely keeping up. If the wind dies, we are fucked.
Delacroix nodded once.
And the men? Terrified.
Moreau said bluntly.
But they'll follow you. They always do.
A low rumble rolled through the water. Finn flinched hard, gripping the rail until his knuckles went white. The blue glow beneath his ribs flickered like a dying lantern.
It's still out there.
He whispered.
It's following us.
Of course it's still out there. We set the fucking ocean on fire and it still didn't die.
A sailor nearby spat over the side. Another sailor muttered.
Should have thrown the boy overboard when we had the chance.
Delacroix turned sharply.
Say that again, and I'll have you lashed to the mast.
The man fell silent. Below deck, the air was thick with damp wood, sweat, and the metallic tang of seawater. Men worked the pumps in shifts, muscles trembling, shirts soaked through. Every few minutes, a new leak would burst through the planks, spraying cold water across the bilge.
Faster!
The bosun barked.
If you slow down, we drown!
A sailor slammed his shoulder into the pump handle.
We're already drowning, you bastard.
The bosun grabbed him by the collar.
Not if you keep fucking pumping!
Another tremor rolled through the hull, faint but enough to make every man freeze.
Did you feel that?
Someone whispered.
Shut up.
Another hissed.
Just shut the hell up.
But they all felt it. On deck, the night deepened. The stars vanished behind a thick bank of clouds. The wind died completely, leaving the sails hanging limp. The ship was drifting, completely helpless.
Delacroix stared into the dark ocean.
It's our ocean now.
He murmured. Finn stood beside him, shivering despite the blanket wrapped around his shoulders.
It's not the ocean.
He said.
It's the thing inside it.
Delacroix looked at him.
What did it do to you?
Finn swallowed hard.
It marked me. It connected to me. I don't know how. I don't know why. But it wants me back.
Moreau approached, his voice low.
Capitan, if it comes again, we can't fight it. Not like this.
Delacroix didn't answer.
The ship was crippled, the men were exhausted, the cannons were soaked, the powder damp, and the hull was cracked. If the Leviathan struck again, they wouldn't survive. A sudden splash echoed across the water. Every man on deck froze. Another splash. Closer. Then a third. Finn groaned.
It's here!
The water beside the ship bulged. A massive shadow rose beneath the surface, circling them with slow, predatory intent. Not attacking. Not yet.
Delacroix gripped the rail with a stern firmness that made his knuckles go pale.
Why isn't it striking?
Finn's voice trembled.
Because it knows we can't run anymore.
The Leviathan's shadow drifted closer. Moreau whispered.
Capitan, what do we do?
Delacroix exhaled slowly.
We pray for wind.
The sea answered them with silence, and the Leviathan circled them through the long, merciless night. Dawn broke as a thin gray smear across the horizon, barely enough light to separate sea from sky. The Étoile du Montant limped northward, sails torn, hull cracked, pumps thumping in a frantic rhythm that sounded more like a heartbeat than machinery. The men were ghosts, exhausted, hollow-eyed, running on fear and stubbornness alone. But the wind had returned. A weak breeze, barely enough to fill the sails, but it pushed them forward, inch by inch, mile by mile.
Delacroix stood at the bow, spyglass raised.
Refusing to blink.
Come on.
He muttered.
Come on, damn you. Show me land.
Moreau approached, voice hoarse.
Capitan, the men can't keep this pace. They're dropping where they stand. They'll stand a little longer.
Delacroix insisted.
We are close. How close?
Delacroix lowered the glass.
Close enough that if we survive the next hour, we leave.
A tremor rolled through the ship. Finn staggered.
It's here.
He whispered.
It's followed us all night.
A sailor cursed under his breath. Another tremor, stronger this time, shook the deck. The sea beside the ship bulged. Moreau's face went ghostly white.
Capitan, it's rising.
Delacroix didn't hesitate.
All hands to stations. Load the cannons. Muskets ready. Move!
The crew snapped into motion, fear sharpening their movements. Finn backed away from the rail, shaking.
It knows we're close to land. It's desperate.
Good.
Delacroix mused.
Desperate things make mistakes.
The water erupted, and the Leviathan burst from the depths in a towering surge of black water and armored flesh. Its head rose higher than ever before, jaws opening wide with malevolent intent. Its roar shook the sky, a sound so low it shuddered the masts and forced several men to crouch in terror.
Fire!
Delacroix roared. The broadside hit the creature's face point blank. Smoke wafted, and iron shot tore into its armored hide. The Leviathan recoiled, bellowing in fury, its black blood pouring across the deck. It lunged, its jaws clamped down on the bow, splintering wood and tearing away a massive chunk of the deck. Men screamed as they were thrown backward. One sailor tumbled overboard, shouting,
Help me! Help me!
Finn reached out instinctively,
Grab him!
but the Leviathan's tail swept the water, and the sailor vanished. Delacroix didn't flinch.
Reload! Hit the bastard again!
The gunners scrambled, their hands fumbling the powder they were handling. Moreau shouted over the chaos.
Capitan, we can't take another hit like that. We don't need to.
Delacroix snapped.
We just need to reach the shallows.
Finn's eyes widened. The Leviathan dove. Delacroix's jaw tightened.
Brace for impact.
The creature struck from below. The Étoile du Montant jolted upward, nearly capsizing. Men were thrown into the air. A mast cracked, and the pump stopped as the water surged into the bilge.
Fuck! She's breaking apart!
The bosun shouted. There was another tremor, and another surge, and the Leviathan rose again, this time directly beneath Finn. Finn stumbled backward, shouting.
No! No! Stay back!
Delacroix moved faster than thought. He grabbed Finn by the collar and yanked him aside, as the Leviathan's jaw snapped shut where he had stood a heartbeat earlier.
Get below! Now!
Finn shook his head violently.
If I go below, it will tear the ship apart to reach me.
It's already doing that.
The Leviathan roared again, slamming its body against the hull. Moreau shouted from the helm.
Capitan! Land! I see land!
Delacroix spun. Through the fog, a faint line of cliffs rose from the sea. France.
Hard to port! Run her around if you have to!
The ship turned slowly, but it turned. The Leviathan surged after them. Finn screamed as the mark beneath his ribs burned like fire.
It's coming! It's coming!
The creature rose one last time, jaws wide, ready to swallow the stern whole.
Hold the line!
Delacroix shouted.
We are almost there!
The Leviathan lunged, the sea exploded, and a thunderous boom echoed across the water. A coastal fort, half hidden by fog, had fired its cannons. The shot slammed into the Leviathan's flank. The creature recoiled, bellowing in pain. Another volley fired, then another. The Leviathan thrashed violently, black blood defiling the water. It dove, disappearing into the depths. Delacroix collapsed to his knees, breathing hard.
We made it,
He whispered. Finn stared at the dark water, trembling.
No,
He said softly.
we survived.
The Étoile du Montant limped into Brest harbor under a sky the color of bruised steel, half sunk and bleeding seawater from a dozen wounds. Dockworkers froze mid-task as the shattered frigate scraped against the pier. Her mast cracked, her sails in tatters, her hull gouged as if by the claws of a god. Only 32 men remained of the original crew of 91. Captain Delacroix stepped onto the pier like a man walking out of a grave. His coat was torn, his face gaunt, and his eyes hollow. Finn followed behind him, wrapped in a blanket, shivering despite the spring air. The blue glow beneath his ribs faded to a faint ember, but it was still there. A French naval officer approached, jaw tight.
Capitan, what in God's name happened out there?
Delacroix didn't answer at first. He simply stared at the sea, as if expecting it to rise up and swallow the harbor whole. Then he spoke.
Something attacked us.
The officer frowned. A ship? Pirates?
A monster. A creature the size of a cathedral. Armored like iron. Fast as a storm. It tore my ship apart, like it was made of paper.
The officer opened his mouth to argue, then saw the gouges in the hull, each one longer than a man. He closed his mouth. Word spread faster than fire.
Within days, the French Admiralty summoned Delacroix and Finn to Paris.
They were questioned for hours by men who had never seen the sea except from a carriage window. At first, the admirals dismissed the story as madness. Then the survivors were brought in. One by one, they told the same tale. A shadow beneath the waves. A roar that shook the sky. A creature that hunted a single man with relentless fury. By the end of the week, the French were no longer laughing. By the end of the month, neither was England or the Dutch Republic. The emergency summit convened in Calais. 3 nations, rivals, enemies, uneasy allies, gathered in a stone hall overlooking the channel. Admirals, generals, ministers, and king's advisors filled the room with the smell of ink, sweat, and fear. Maps were unrolled, ship counts tallied, gunpowder reserves calculated, arguments erupted, accusations flew. But every time the debate threatened to collapse, someone would glance at Finn, pale, trembling, marked, and the room would fall silent again. Finally, the French Minister of the Navy slammed his fist onto the table.
This creature threatens every ship that sails in the Atlantic, every port, every colony, every nation. We cannot ignore this.
The English admiral nodded grimly.
Then we hunt the bastard.
The Dutch envoy added.
And we kill it.
Delacroix stood at the head of the table,
hands clasped behind his back.
You'll need more than ships,
he said.
You'll need discipline, coordination, and the will to fire when the sea itself rises against you.
The French minister gestured to Finn. And him? Finn swallowed hard.
It's not done with me. If you go after it, it'll come.
Good.
The English admiral said.
Let it.
The Armada was born. Dozens of ships were commissioned. French frigates, English ships of the line, and Dutch war galleons. Hundreds of cannons, thousands of sailors, powder stores stacked to the rafters. Blacksmiths worked through the night, forging harpoons, chains, and experimental weapons meant to pierce the hide of something no one had ever seen. The largest naval force in European history assembled for one purpose: to kill the Leviathan. On the eve of departure, Finn stood alone on the cliffs above Calais. The wind whipped his hair. The sea stretched out before him, dark and endless. The mark beneath his ribs pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat echoing from the deep.
Delacroix approached quietly.
You don't have to go with us.
Finn shook his head.
Yes, I do.
Why?
Finn stared at the horizon.
Because it won't stop. Not until I'm dead. Or it is.
A low rumble rolled across the water. Distant, but unmistakable.
Delacroix's hand tightened on the hilt of his sword.
Then we finish this.
Finn nodded.
I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's story. I want to thank Dexter, who voiced Delacroix, Moreau, and the Dutch envoy, Motion Room, who voiced the lookout, Jack Harrison, who voiced the English officer, and Phil Zio, who voiced the bosun. Phil Zio also composed the main track's music and outro, while Morgan Goodman did the intro. I also want to thank my patrons and especially Shadowthreadstories, who also wrote tonight's story.